Hi Manoj, so good to see you.
Good evening, ma'am.
So Manoj, welcome to Kingmakers IAS Academy and congratulations for securing All India rank 389.
Thank you, ma'am.
Manoj, it has been long since we met, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Manoj. So how was the journey?
Ma'am, for me, the whole journey has been of 3 to 4 years. So I graduated in 2023, and after that, I have been pursuing the UPSC preparation. So this is my third attempt, ma'am. So in my first attempt, I was blessed enough to write mains, and I have written 3 prelims, and I qualified all the 3 prelims. And in my second attempt, I gave interview, and this year, fortunately, with God's grace, I secured All India rank 389, ma'am.
Okay, Manoj. So what are the learnings that you had in your previous attempt that made it possible this time?
Ma'am, I am someone who believes in the concept of learning mindset. That is, whatever the shortcomings that we have, we can look it as an opportunity or as a crisis. So in my case, in my 2023 attempt, I scored 59 in GS3, which was one of the lowest scores. But because then I self-introspected, where I am going wrong, what value additions can I do? Then in the second attempt, I was able to improve my score to 100, which was one of the highest in GS3 that year. So the same way, in 2024, my optional score was just 190, and this year I could improve it to 270 because I tried to understand where I was going wrong and then improve upon it. And for me, one thing that I truly believe in is hard work, ma'am. So when I failed in my first and second attempt, I tried to push myself as much as possible. Even during prelims and mains, I was consistently giving 12 to 15 hours. So that also helps me to gain that half marks extra as well. So this is one other learning that I have learned in this process, ma'am. And also UPSC is beyond an exam. UPSC is also about life itself. That is, UPSC looks for officers through those examinations. In prelims, are we able to handle the pressure? Are we able to make right prioritization? And in mains, are we able to write back-to-back 9 papers? And what is our thought process? Is it backed by empirical aspects? That is, in every point, I used to give an example in mains answer writing. So that shows that when we substantiate our arguments with examples, data, statistics, there wouldn't be any possibility of the refute for the answers. So even in interview, I scored very low in my first interview. But in second interview, I discussed with nearly 130. I gave nearly 130 one-on-ones and mocks so that I could learn from others and improve my vocabulary, improve my communication and confidence as well. This has been some of the few learnings overall, ma'am.
Okay, Manoj. So let me decode one by one the different stages of UPSC. So prelims, first of all, did you find it very difficult clearing prelims?
Ma'am, every year prelims is becoming unpredictable. So in my case, I gave 3 prelims and I cleared all the 3 prelims with more than 50 to 20 marks above the cutoff. The reason is that I believe that prelims is a game of MCQs. So we have to practice MCQs to master it. So I practiced nearly 15,000 MCQs in my first attempt when I was in college itself, and another 15,000 MCQs in my second attempt, and 10,000 MCQs in my third attempt. So overall, I practiced around 40,000 MCQs. So for me, when I was analyzing MCQs, so I was understanding where I was going wrong. And I was also able to predict the way questions can be asked from a particular theme. And if there are any shortcomings with my conceptual understanding, I was able to recognize those shortcomings when I was practicing MCQs. And also the probability mapping, that is, what is the probability of a theme being asked in UPSC. I was able to analyze it through PYQs and MCQs, through mock tests and other tests, ma'am. So when I was solving PYQs, I was going through each keyword and trying to analyze what that keyword is and the surrounding areas as well. And also, I used to do PYQs till 1979 for static subjects like polity as well as history, so that most of the questions from these subjects are already covered in PYQs, especially UPSC CSC PYQs. And I also went through the UPSC CDS PAP of geoscientist PYQs of last 5, 6 years to check how UPSC has been evolving as well. So this helps me in prelims, ma'am. And even in CSAT, for me, like one thing that matters the most is practice. So I used to practice extensively for CSAT, and there also I was able to get scores like 156, 130 through that practice only, ma'am.
So 15,000 questions is mind-blowing, Manoj. But it is because of the other exams of UPSC, UPSC CSC PYQs, and also questions from other institutes.
Yes, ma'am.
But how do you find time for that? Okay, fine. But my question is, being a boy, being a man, you have a challenge of financially supporting yourself and the family. So how did you now come over that?
Ma'am, in my case, I was blessed enough with a very good supporting system. So even when I came to Bangalore for UPSC preparation, so many of my brothers whom I didn't know at all before coming here to Bangalore, they helped me without any expectations from me. So somebody paid my room rent, somebody paid my library rent, and even they arranged the flight to Delhi, and they provided support through mentorship, guidance, and even the emotional support as well. And even in my parents' case, so though they were not able to provide the financial support, they never asked me or pressurized me into giving up in my UPSC preparation, despite my initial 2 failures as well. So having that support systems around me is what helps in continuing this journey, especially considering that UPSC takes minimum 2, 3 years of dedicated preparation. So, and also that is why I always say that whenever people say it is your hard work, it is not just my hard work, it is the support of people around me. The confidence and the trust they have kept in me is the reason why I succeeded today. So this is how I sustained myself, ma'am. And even from last year, I used to take free answer writing classes in Bengaluru itself. So there I was also getting paid, which was enough to manage my monthly expenses as well.
Manoj, 15,000 questions, and so you were able to get 50 above the cutoff. So, but don't you think, Manoj, it is too draining? But you were consistent throughout your preparation in the first, second, and third attempt, 15,000 questions in each attempt. So, how much hours you study, and how did you been very consistent with that preparation?
Ma'am, I have practiced 15,000 MCQs, and as I said, 15 to 20 marks above the cutoff. So for me, like because one thing that I've understood from the early days itself, early days is that we are competing with India's best minds to be India's best. So for that, we have to, the only weapon we have is hard work. So that is why I used to push myself for those dedicated 12 to 15 hours of effort. So because 15,000 is a humongous task, we have to put in those 12 to 15 hours. And also we are competing with some IIT graduates, we are competing with doctors with MBBS, MD degrees, we are competing with foreign returns. So the only way to sustain and the only way to beat that competition is through hard work, ma'am. So that is why, like, even during mains, I used to put those dedicated 12 to 15 hours of effort, and even during prelims as well. And another thing is that in my case, because being an engineer, I understood that the Jugaad mindset, what we call in India, that is the smart work. That is, so when I did my PYQ analysis, I was able to identify some patterns, and then I was applying those patterns in my mock test. The same way, during mains, I used to refer topper copies extensively rather than running behind materials. I was reading topper copies because in those topper copies, the effort of the topper, which is nearly 4 to 5 years of effort, is shown in those 2 pages. So I used to learn what made them the topper. Why is UPSC rewarding them? So I used to ask those questions, and that helps me as well in this journey, ma'am.
Yes, Manoj, you said topper's copy was your important inspiration and learning. But there are a lot of information, topper strategy, toppers papers, toppers answer notes. So too much of information. How did you filter it out and choose your best one?
Ma'am, what I believe through topper copies is that we have to look for the standout examples and the standout reasons what made them the toppers in that particular year. For example, when I was going through Aditya Srivastava's copies, he addresses explicit as well as implicit demands very beautifully. And also he writes more than 12 to 15 points for a 10-marker question. And when I went through Kunal Rastogi sir, who scored 134 in GS2, when I went through his copies, he uses way forward in each of the questions, even though it is not directly asked. And from Animesh Pradhan sir's copies, I learned the importance of writing non-cliche examples that everyone is writing. So mains is all about standing out. So when I used to look for these unique selling points of each topper, I was able to adapt, I was able to inculcate them in my answers. So in the end, the choice is ours, the wisdom should also be ours. The wisdom to choose whatever suits us, and wisdom not to run behind everything that the topper is saying or the topper has written in his answers. So we have to ask ourselves, will I be able to replicate this point or example in my paper under the extreme pressure situation in mains? If we think we can, then only we should take the point from that particular topper rather than blindly copy pasting all the points from the toppers. And the same goes with the strategy as well. Hundreds of toppers have hundreds of strategies. But we should ask ourselves, what is the strategy that suits me? Because I am from someone from engineering background, there is a particular strategy. For example, practicing continuously without any reading, or also going through topper copies extensively, that may suit me, which may not be suitable to all others. So we have to ask ourselves, we have to do that self-introspection. Then only we will be able to understand whatever suits us and leave behind whatever doesn't suit us.
Manoj, coming back, there are people who wanted to step into UPSC exam, but they don't want to risk 2 or 3 attempts. They don't want to take too much of pressure studying 10 to 15 hours. So what do you like to say to them?
Ma'am, the question is for those who are beginning right now, right?
Yes, Manoj.
Ma'am, one thing, if you are having the clarity that you would pursue UPSC and you want to become an IAS IPS officer, then starting early is very important. So many people mistake that after my graduation, I will start going into coaching and then I will be able to clear it within one attempt. So that is a mistake in our analysis. So that is why even during college days, if you are finding free time, we should start by reading NCERT books. So when we attend a coaching, so we would be able to understand the concepts better. And another thing is that for me, I don't think there is any alternative for a hard work, because we are competing with India's best. And there are very talented people who can understand and who can grasp things very faster. So if we have to be among them, so if we just take the numbers itself, that is, there are 10 lakh people who are giving UPSC and only 14,000 clear UPSC. 14,000 is less than the number of IIT seats that are there in India. And only 2,700 give interview and only 330 become IAS IPS. The sheer number itself shows the level of competition. And to beat that competition, giving less than 8 hours is a sin, as per me, ma'am. So that hard work should never be compromised. And the third aspect is that whenever you need a help, whenever you need guidance, approach the people. That is, want it bad enough. If you want something bad enough, the universe will align itself to make it happen. So if you want any help, approach your teachers, approach your mentors, talk to them. Then you will get more and more clarity. Because in the end, so many people miss UPSC prelims cutoff by just 2-3 marks. So many people miss being in the final list by 1 or 2 marks. So in the end, maybe if we had asked that question to our mentor, you could have gotten that clarity and we could have saved 2-3 years of our golden life. So this is what I always say to my students as well. If you have any doubt, just approach the mentors or any toppers, talk to them, understand how they think. That will surely help, because as an officer, we don't have the luxury of hesitating. So that quality we should be showing beforehand as well. We should not hesitate and we should be courageous enough to even ask silly questions, ma'am.
Yeah, try to be wrong. So,
Yes.
Manoj, great. So, Manoj, you said you have practiced 15,000 questions for prelims. But what about for mains? How was your rigorous answer writing practice? And you also told about value addition, that part. So, please clarify on that.
Ma'am, for main, I did 5 things, ma'am. One is in-depth PYQ analysis. So what I used to do is that take every PYQ and then Google it, and from 2-3 different institutions, I used to look for answers. So some model solution may have good introduction, some model solution may have good examples. And then I used to ChatGPT as well, use ChatGPT extensively. That is, my ChatGPT screen time itself used to run nearly 5 to 6 hours every day. So like I used to use ChatGPT extensively for understanding that particular concept. Like I used to ask ChatGPT, which thinkers can I integrate in this question? Which examples, or give me contemporary examples from the year 2024 to 26. So I used to discuss with ChatGPT itself. So, and another thing that I used to do is that read topper copies extensively, because when we are reading topper copies, we are also able to identify the keywords and current affairs through those copies as well. So, and the third thing that I used to do is with respect to the peer discussions, ma'am. So when we discuss with our peers, they may have very beautiful perspectives, beautiful examples, and beautiful dimensions. And especially in ethics, essay, and optional, peer discussions help more than any other thing that we can do. And also, fourthly, I used to write extensively, especially I used to make sure that I am writing minimum 5 to 10 answers every day, so that I'm not missing that examination flow. I am constantly in touch with my writing practice as well. And fifthly, what I used to do is that I used to brainstorm a lot. So for example, if I am writing 5 to 10 questions every day, other 20-30 questions I used to brainstorm a lot. For example, I used to set 2 minutes time for every question, and I used to brainstorm whatever I know about that question in those 2-3 minutes. And after that, I used to look at the model solution, then look at ChatGPT, then do value addition to my notes as well. So this was my 5-pillar approach for mains, ma'am.
Manoj, it has been a very rigorous answer writing, but how did you evaluate it? You said, so what was your benchmark that you kept?
Ma'am, in the end, the mains is a competition for off marks. So if we are getting 4 marks for a 10 marker, and if our competitor is getting 4.5, then we have lost the race. So what I used to think is that, where can I do that value addition? Can I integrate a diagram? Can I integrate export? So in every ethics answer, I have brought in quotes. I used to bring unique keywords. For example, let's say Nishkam karma. There is a concept called as Nishkam karma in ethics, which is overused. So what I used to do is that I used to think of unique keywords like karma phala tyaga. So Nishkam karma and karma phala tyaga have the same meaning, but when I use karma phala tyaga, the evaluator will feel good because I am using some new unique keyword. So this was my, like I used to approach for that main answers as well. And also for evaluation, there are three aspects that I used to do. That is immediate self-introspection. So after my answer, I used to go back to my notes of that concept, look at which points that I am missing from my notes, but that are not there in answer. Secondly, I used to take the help of my mentors. So, I used to ask my mentors, ask my teachers, sir, what value addition can I do? What antithesis can I write? So, when I used to discuss like that, that also used to help. The third and most important, especially in these days, is ChatGPT, man. So, what I used to do is that I used to upload my complete answer to ChatGPT. I used to ask ChatGPT, give me every dimension that I have missed in my answer. So when ChatGPT is giving 5-10 new dimensions, my thought process also used to get broadened. So this is how I approach main answer writing and evaluation, ma'am.
So you have extensively used technology, Manoj, but it took a lot of time, no, for this process. Fine. Manoj, tell me in this process, how did you understand your weakness and how did you work upon that?
Ma'am, the one way to identify the weakness is firstly through self-introspection. So we have to be very genuine with ourselves. So where I am going wrong. So in my first mains, I was not able to do well in the GS section. So then I asked myself, what answers did I write? Were they worthy enough for one of the highest marks? So then I used to work on the value addition. I used to work on those areas. And secondly, I used to discuss extensively with my mentor as well. So because when we break our ego and we show that humility to approach our mentors regarding the areas where we are going wrong. So there also we would be able to improve on areas, especially in my optional. I scored 190, which was one of the lowest for someone who gave interview that year. But I was able to improve 270 because my mentors guided me extensively and they helped me extensively in my optional as well as ethics and in all other papers as well. And thirdly, when we can learn from other toppers also. When we look at the toppers, when they tell about their mistakes, we should be wise enough to not to commit those mistakes ourselves. So learning from inspiration is another thing that I did as well, ma'am.
Great, Manoj. Manoj, especially coming to this PubAd, public administration, which was your optional, we understand that public administration, people say that it was very tough in the recent days. And how do you think you were able to manage to the trend of the questions from the previous attempts and you were able to make it?
Ma'am, when I got 190 in public administration, then I started analyzing where did I go wrong. What I understood is that I was writing, rather than writing very analytical, theoretical points based on the demand of the questions, I was writing analytical questions which I was not able to connect with the evaluator. So then when I discussed with my mentor, then I was able to understand the shortcomings that I faced as well. And also in public administration, I used to refer the topper copies as well as the modern solutions of various test series extensively as well. And through those modern solutions, I was able to understand what is the true demand of the question. And I was also able to improve upon hitting the bullseye in optional answers as well, ma'am. And thirdly, what I used to do is that for a 10-marker question, if the word limit is 150, I used to ask ChatGPT to give me the write-up in 5,000 words. So that is when I ask ChatGPT for 5,000 words, the ChatGPT will give everything, that is background, advantages, disadvantages, way forward, everything it will cover. So I was able to really understand about that concept and then revise it again and again to
Great, Manoj. Manoj, you have been a consistent and hard worker. But tell me, did you have any holidays, recess time, or but your dash says you have a very great achievements and hobbies. So, how far did you manage time for family, your friends, as well as for the hobbies as such?
Ma'am, in my first 2 years of preparation, I was very harsh on myself that I should be giving dedicated 12 to 15 hours. Then after last year where I was not able to be in the final list, I started thinking from a different perspective that UPSC is just an examination, but in the end, what matters is the people around us. What matters is our mental health and the support systems that we have around us. So even during my preparation, what I used to do is that watch a lot of biography-based movies, which gave me a lot of motivation to show that dedication and consistency as well. And also I used to read books like the Can't Hurt Me books by David Goggins and other books as well. And I used to dedicate minimum 1 hour every day from 8 in the night till 9 in the night to talk to my family, friends and others as well. So this ensured that I'm spending quality time with my friends and family as well. At the same time, I am maintaining that consistency in my preparation as well. So I always feel that rather than being too harsh or rather than taking extreme measures for preparation, we should find a balanced approach. So that is dedicated 10 to 12 hours are sufficient, but at the same time, we should find dedicated 2, 3 hours for our family as well. That would ensure a proper balance as well, ma'am.
Manoj, who's your very good inspiration throughout your preparation?
Ma'am, for me, my inspiration is my mother. So from my childhood, it was a dream that I should become an IAS IPS officer. So that like the promise that I have made to her is the one thing that kept me going throughout. And secondly, like I am someone who grew up reading about APJ Abdul Kalam, Swami Vivekananda and others. So their thoughts also inspired me a lot. So there is a very beautiful quote from Swami Vivekananda. So that is, show dedication, show persistence. You will achieve success sooner or later. So your success may get delayed, but it won't be denied. So this I always kept in my mind. And also another person who inspired me a lot is a person who is very famous in Karnataka. That is Sri Dr. Shivkumara Swamiji. So for like last hundreds of years, he believes in something called as Aksharadana. That is donating the power of education to others. So this also had motivated me a lot from my childhood as well. So this is another inspiration, ma'am.
Manoj, it's a very crude question, but let me ask you, do you think every topper need a strategy to crack it?
Sir, ma'am, I believe that we need a strategy and we need a plan, because if you are failing to plan, then we are planning to fail. So I believe that because UPSC is demand, you first have to understand what is the demand of the UPSC, what is the testing. That means in UPSC, more than what we study, what we don't study matters a lot. That is, UPSC is not about what to study, but also about what not to study. So if we don't have a strategy, we will run behind thousands of materials. We will run behind that only solution for clearing prelims or mains. But I believe the process is simple. Only when we understand it, then we would be able to crack it. That is, in mains, we don't need to run behind thousands of materials. But I always followed something called as 12-4-4 approach in mains. That is, we should write 12 extremely beautiful answers out of the 20 questions, which are based on the PYQs. Because they are from PYQs, it is non-negotiable that we are writing mediocre answers in those questions. 4 good answers we should be writing, and 4 below average answers we can write, and we will end up around a very good scoring mains in any paper. So when we think it like that, sometimes we run behind those 4 below average questions and we think that every topic, every current affairs is important, and we try to cover everything. That happens if you don't have a right strategy, ma'am. So having the right strategy and right prioritization will surely help both in prelims and mains.
Manoj, you have rigorously practiced questions and answers. But tell me how far you took notes, solid notes, and how, did you take notes from NCRT, newspaper, current affairs? And how did you manage time for note making as such? Do you think note making is important also?
Ma'am, I believe that note making is one of the most important parts of UPSC preparation. But I don't agree with the concept that if you are preparing for 1 year, we should spend 6 months just on note making. So in my case, what I used to think is that I made my notes in completely digital format. So what I used to do is that as soon as I started my PYQ analysis, based on every PYQ theme, I started making notes. Let's say the theme is nanotechnology. The theme is agriculture. In agriculture, organic agriculture. So based on the theme, I used to make notes. And whatever new information, whatever learnings that I get from topper copies, I used to take a screenshot and add it to my notes. So I made my notes in Google Docs, ma'am. So, and the way I used to take notes is that we shouldn't write everything that is there in the book to our notes. It will become a Xerox rather than becoming a note. So in my notes, I used to just write down keywords. So when I look at those keywords, I am forcing my brain to I explain the whole concept. And if I am unable to explain the whole concept looking at the keywords, that means I have not understood the concept very well. And then I used to go back to the concept and revise them extensively. So that is, I always suggest students to try digital note making, because when our competitors are saving time making digital notes, if we are stuck in the old ways, we will be losing the advantage. Try digital note making, whether it's Google Docs or even in tabs, there are certain apps which we can use for note making. They will surely help. So I have shared my notes on my Telegram channel as well. So you could go through it and you could get some insights on how to make notes. But the notes should be made based on the PYQ themes. That is the first and foremost learning while making notes, ma'am.
So I'll surely suggest my students to go to your Telegram channel, Manoj. But Manoj, how did you kept your social media away? Did you have it? How is there any sacrifices that you made in order to have a proper time?
Ma'am, as soon as I started my preparation, I deactivated my Instagram. And I was using WhatsApp and Telegram for family and educational purposes. But because I mentioned that we need that dedicated 12 to 15 hours of effort, so I believe the pain of discipline is less than the pain of regret. Because if you had studied for 1 hour extra, or if you had studied, if you had put in 1 hour of extra effort rather than scrolling through Instagram, maybe you could have got that 1% right. And maybe that would have helped us clear prelims. So we shouldn't have that regret later after the examination. So I always suggest that unless it's for educational purposes, completely avoid social media. And I will be very honest, ma'am, even during my preparation time, I was going through YouTube shorts for hours and hours when I was exhausted and saturated. But understanding and introspecting whether that time utilization is helping my preparation, asking ourselves it genuinely will surely help us correct that mistake and not to repeat it again. So this, especially social media, I believe can take away our energy that we dedicate for preparation as well. And the distractions also kill our momentum and kill our clarity in our understanding as well. That is why I always suggest not to use social media.
Manoj, my last question is, did you rely on newspaper or monthly current affairs, or how current affairs preparation was as such for you?
Ma'am, I was reading newspapers extensively, but I believe that newspapers, one should start reading newspapers only after we have analyzed the PYQs. Only after we have analyzed the demand and the way questions are asked from a particular concept, then only we would be able to get some value from that particular newspaper. Otherwise, you would be just scrolling through the newspaper without understanding anything or without understanding what points to take from that particular newspaper. So that is why you should start reading newspaper once you have analyzed and went through the PYQs, so that you would be able to connect immediately to the whatever you have learned from the newspapers to the PYQ. And another thing is that for current affairs, what I used to do is that I used to refer the PT 365 magazines, but I believe more should be done for current affairs preparation as well. So what I used to do is that I use the peer group effect here very well. That is, I had a group of 4 to 5 people who were writing answers with me. So when I look at their answers, they have read some newspapers and they have integrated some current affairs in their answers, and I used to pick them directly. So rather than scrolling through newspapers when I didn't have time, I was using that jugaad mindset to learn from others. And then I used to research extensively on that particular newspaper value addition. So that is why topper copies are very helpful in this preparation. So when we use topper copies, that means you are not just going through the 10 marker 2 pages answers, but we are also going through whatever the topper has learned in 5 years of his or her preparation. So all the current affairs value additions, all the diagrams that he has learned over the years, I am learning them directly. So that is to be my mindset for current affairs as well, ma'am. And for prelims, I believe the probability mapping. That is, when I give 30-40 full-length mock tests, there are some concepts, there are some current affairs which were getting repeated in each of those mock tests. So let's say nanotechnology or this year nuclear energy bill. Because of the nuclear energy bill, most of the mock tests have a question on nuclear energy. So then I used to identify that this is a very important topic for UPSC prelims. Then I used to do my thorough analysis on nuclear energy or similar concepts. So that used to be my approach for current affairs. Rather than studying thousands of current affairs, I used to stick to those 100 very important current affairs material. Then I used to revise them again and again, ma'am.
Manoj, how was your association with Kingmakers and its mock program and others?
Ma'am, even during my 2024 attempt as well as 2025 attempt, I was a part of the interview guidance program, ma'am. So I attended 3 to 4 one-on-one sessions with Sir itself. So Sir gave me really good input about how to approach questions. And one thing I observed is the calmness, that the way he was approaching the questions that I used to ask him. So I also learned that, and I also try to inculcate that calmness in my real interview as well, ma'am. That helped me a lot. So thanks to you and thanks to the Kingmaker Academy for helping me and guiding me during interview as well, ma'am.
Manoj, we wish you you have to reach great heights in your life, and you have to do wonders in public service and for the public welfare, Manoj. My last final thing is, Manoj, what is that you wanted to do in future? And what is your ambition?
Ma'am, I believe that my success lies not in the results that I got today, that I got in UPSC, but what we do after the results that we have got. So that is why even now I am trying to guide as many aspirants as possible for their UPSC preparation, because one suggestion from me can save literally 2-3 years of their life. And also even in future, for me, I am someone who genuinely believes in the power of education. So I want to help more and more children to get the quality education, because financial constraints should never be the reason a child is missing quality education. So I want to help in whatever way possible, in whatever little as possible. So I want to help as many children get that quality education, ma'am. So that is what I feel my purpose is. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Manoj. We hope we make it possible.
Okay.
All the
Thank you,
best.
ma'am.